1 here, Big 550 KTRS. Rod Blagojevich is back in the news because they are appealing his 14-year sentence that a judge handed down in 2011. Ryan Burrow, ABC News correspondent, is going to explain this to us. Ryan, thanks for joining us here on KTRS in St. Louis.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, just to point out, he is still behind bars. Blago is still in federal prison, and he will remain there for some time. So even though we got a little bit of good news yesterday, it wasn't exactly what the family was looking for, and we can dig a little deeper into to what the judge said if you want.
I've read this story 4 times, and I'm still very confused. What did the judge actually say yesterday?
Okay, so it's a 3-panel of judges. This was actually heard. This case was heard back in 2013. It's been 19 months for them to finally come out with an opinion on this. Remember, he was originally convicted in 2011 on 18 counts. Well, the judges heard the appeal, and they've now vacated 5 of those counts. These counts relate to the explanation to the jury on 5 of the counts regarding pay to play. You give me something, I'll give you something. Specifically relating to these judges found a difference between Blagojevich trying to trade President Obama's vacant Senate seat for a job versus trading it for cash. The judges determined that this trading for a job is something that happens in politics all the time, and even referring to the current Secretary of State getting his position because of favors he had done for President Obama. So essentially, they threw out those 5 counts, vacating them, and it's going to be up to prosecutors to decide whether or not they want to retry him on those 5 counts or just kind of let them go by the wayside. Meanwhile, the 13 other counts were affirmed, and as a result, he still remains in jail. Or prison, I should say. He will need to be resentenced because obviously things have changed. Whether or not that means reduced time, we don't know at this point.
So the counts that the 3-panel judges upheld, those are the ones dealing with a hospital where he supposedly offered up state money to the hospitals in exchange for campaign contributions.
The 13 include that. They include a wide array of some of the things that were done by the former governor. Remember, he was angling in all those calls. He was angling to be Secretary of Health and Human Services. That was his goal. He wanted to either get a prestigious position or make some money for his family, according to the phone calls that were released. Could you imagine, by the way, we step back for a second, could you imagine if Rod Blagojevich was in charge of the rollout of Obamacare?
well
think about that, if he indeed had received that position. So,
I know the man has become a punchline, but Ryan, you follow this a lot closer than we do, being up there. But I got to tell you, I still have a hard time trying to figure out what he did wrong and what other secretaries in the cabinet didn't do wrong, because it sounds to me like this happens every day in every state house in America.
You're absolutely right, and the 14 years that was put on him, the sentence was very, very high. I don't think anyone expected that. There were a couple things going on. Number one, they wanted to make an example. There's obviously been a lot of corruption here in Illinois among the politicians. You can look at the previous governors here in Illinois and see what's happened. Many of them have been sent to jail. So they wanted to make an example out of him. The other thing is he did not back down in court. He made things very difficult for everyone, just the way he fought. There's a lot who believe, there are a lot of people who believe that if he would have just fessed up, said I'm sorry, they would have given him 6 months or less, and he'd be a free man right now, at home with his family. But he just dug in, doubled down, and fought tooth and nail, and this is where he's at. Now, there is still potential for his sentence to get reduced. However, Judge Easterbrook, who released the opinion, said that they felt that the 14-year sentence that he's currently serving was appropriate for the 13 charges that remain, or convictions that remain. So we'll see what happens. They may reduce it. They may let him hang out in prison for the next 10 years as well.
Why did it take so long for this 3-judge panel to make this ruling? That seems cruel and unusual.
Yeah, that definitely did take a long time. Now, it's possible they were waiting on rulings on other similar situations. I know that there have been other politicians who have been involved in corruption scandals who have cases related or similar to this. So it's possible that they were just waiting to see how those were resolved prior to making the ruling. But yeah, 19 months is quite a long time. I can't even remember because I was in there when the hearings were, and we knew it was going to come down. This just took a very, very long time. 19 months is incredible.
When's the judge expected to make the ruling if the sentence is going to stay the same, or they're going to reduce it?
Yeah, this is kind of going to be in the prosecutor's hands now to decide whether or not they want to go back and pursue and retry these 5 counts again under the under new guidelines, which would mean the whole dog and pony show all over again. It's very possible they just drop those 5 and say let's move on with the 13 remaining, and then we can go straight to sentencing phase. So ball's in their court, and obviously the defense team is planning a strategy as well for potential appeals, maybe bringing this all the way up to the Supreme Court.
So he's already been in there 4 years. He's got another 10. Is he in like a maximum security prison? Is he in a country club prison? Where is he?
He's in Colorado, and the prison is escaping my mind right now as to what the
it's not that
security
super prison,
is on that.
is it?
I'm trying to dig it up. I'm not finding it right now, but I know he's in Colorado, which is rough on the family because remember he's got 2 young daughters, and they've got to fly out there. The family came out and spoke yesterday. The daughters were there, one of them weeping. They were very disappointed, by the way, in the ruling. They were really hoping to see something more substantial and maybe him get sprung a little bit earlier, but they did not get any guarantees in that yesterday.
Ryan Burrow, ABC News correspondent. Great job, Ryan. Thanks for checking in.
All right, take care.
728, Big 550, KTRS. My mind immediately goes to Chris Koster, who is the Attorney General of Missouri, who had a New York Times article that ended up winning the Pulitzer Prize, talking about this exact same thing, where he was given money either through an organization that funneled it to him or directly to him and his campaign, in which all of a sudden investigations in his office went away. So much so that he changed the policy in his office. So, and that story won a Pulitzer Prize as a investigative piece. Now, I'm not saying Chris Koster did anything wrong, but I don't know what I don't know what Rob Blagojevich did that was wrong. It seems to me like if you've got money and you give somebody money, they're going to want something in return. And if I take money from somebody, they're expecting something from me. No one gives anybody money for no other reason than out of the goodness of their heart.
You mean you don't know what he did that he did wrong that other politicians haven't done?
That is correct.
Because he did do something wrong. I mean, we're talking about the campaign, the money aspect of it, because they dropped the other charge of promising the
promising
the Senate seat.
Right. Again, he was giving state money to a hospital, and he said to the hospital, "Hey, wait, hold on a second. You're getting a whole lot of money from the state. How about a little campaign contribution?" Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know. Sounds to me like, while that's wrong, okay, if that's wrong, then how many other politicians said something similar? Hey, you know what? We took care of you on that legislation. How about a campaign contribution? Or here's a campaign contribution. How about helping me out on this legislation? I don't see the difference. One goes to the White House. One becomes Secretary of Health and Human Services. One goes to jail. I don't see the difference. 7:30, Big 550 KTRS.
Tomorrow.